Grégoire, welcome and congratulations on your new mandate as president of FEBEG. Maybe for a first question, what do you see as ambition for the next 3 years as president?
Well, the first thing I would like to do is obviously to thank Philip, and I'm really grateful for the work Philip did to bring all minds together and have a sense of the common interest, which goes a lot higher, I would say, than specific interest of one or another company, and that has really helped bring FEBEG where it is today. And I would be really happy to continue your work with the other colleagues from the Federation in a constructive spirit of dialogue, not only between FEBEG companies, but with all stakeholders. And I think Philip has drawn the attention on the reaction of FEBEG companies during the crisis, and we've been there. We have standed up, I would say, as essential sector to produce electricity and supply the energy customers have a vital need for, not to speak about the solidarity we have shown also, especially towards those who needed it the most during this crisis. But compared to these waves of pandemic crisis, climate change might as well be a tsunami. And we as sector need to give an answer with the same level of coordination and the same level of power to bring a solution to that, which means creating a carbon-free future. And I'm really happy that our country, our government, committed to carbon neutrality by 2050 and minus 55% by 2030. I think the priority of the priority is reaching that goal.
What role do you see now for the FEBEG members in order to achieve all those goals?
Well, as energy players, obviously, I think FEBEG companies are really determined to play a key role to implementing the solutions that will enable us to reach carbon neutrality. And that will require a fundamental transformation of our energy system, of our economy, of our society. And it will also require a massive mobilization of capital. And this major challenge at the same time also represents a unique opportunity for the energy sector to contribute to a positive recovery of the society, and this at social, economic and environmental level.
A lot of investments are necessary, I hear you say. We've just come out of a deep crisis. Are we ready to invest and to make it happen?
I think it's exactly now the right moment. If I look at the impulse given by the Green Deal and the recovery plans of our country, I think it's a real opportunity to take action and to shift gears, to take action at industrial level, which we need to do in order to make the difference to reach a net zero society. The IEA report that was published recently, Net Zero by 2050, also explains it's actually possible, but we need to start now with decisive actions. I think the FEBEG members have the appropriate human, financial and technical expertise, and they can mobilize it to do the necessary investment. And I think we will continue to do that because I agree with Philippe, alone we cannot do much. So together with all other stakeholders in the market, governments, regulators, grid operators, customers, obviously, all stakeholders, we are really to continue a constructive dialogue to build this CO2-free energy future together, and that is required to cooperate if we like to have this positive outcome on social, economic and environmental dimension.
We have the European Green Deal, there is the Belgian recovery plan, a lot of high ambitions, but to you, what should be the first axis of the action plan?
Well, Björn, I think the priority of the priority is to promote energy efficiency and electrification of use to reduce the total energy consumption in our country. We can say now that the best energy is the one that will not be consumed. And the FEBEG members are committed to promote energy efficiency solutions to Belgian businesses and households to adopt their adoption. Now, as recently announced by the IEA, indeed, in its net zero scenario, the electrification of use is really of the essence today. And why? Well, just because an electric car is 3 times more efficient than a good old combustion engine, and because a heat pump can be 3 to 4 times more efficient than a good old boiler. And so by electrifying, we can reduce massively the energy consumption. Now, it is also important for those sectors where it is difficult to electrify directly to do what we could call indirect electrification through low or zero carbon fuels, such as low carbon hydrogen, for instance, which will be key to decarbonate usage, which are difficult to electrify directly. Now, it is important to that end, when I talk about working together, also to speak and undertake a review of energy taxation, for instance, pricing, so that electricity and low carbon molecules are not at least discriminated compared to higher, more carbon intensive energy sources. Now, if we look today, Belgium is the country in Europe where the price of electricity compared to the price of gas is the highest, with a ratio of 5. So electricity 5 times more expensive than gas for a Belgian household. And if you look at the Nordic countries where electrification is more advanced, that ratio is more in the area of 1.5.
The innovative solutions are there, but the question, of course, is the market ready for it, and do we have the necessary means to implement them?
I agree with you. I think we need to ensure a well-functioning market so that we are able to attract investors, benefit customers, and create jobs. And because we're talking about huge investments, it's really important that the sector is attractive to investors, and it needs to be supported by well-functioning energy markets, I would say, as well as appropriate long-term investment signals. And now, an appropriate regulatory framework is also needed that provide stability and confidence, I would say, to the investors. So, the permitting procedures, last but not least, I would agree with what you said, Philippe. It remains an issue today. I think they should be simplified and shortened so that the necessary investments can be made on time to meet our decarbonation objectives.
How do we get that incentivizing framework, and moreover, how will we get to engage the consumer, which will have a central role in the new energy system?
That's really a central point. I think that, again, the FEBEG members, they are the natural energy suppliers, they are the natural single point of contact towards the energy users, and we are really committed to engage in the conversation. It becomes a one-on-one conversation with every customer, but with a really high involvement. So we want to bring them along in the energy transition. Customers are becoming producers as well, with transparent offers, simple, innovative, competitive, but also balanced solutions. And we really like to enable customers to effectively manage their energy consumption, and so they can fully participate in the energy markets. Now, it's also important to ensure fair competition so that all players in this market actually work along and according to the same rules on a level playing field. And so we believe that all service providers should be subject to the same obligations as the energy suppliers. An inclusive policy is important, so we don't want to leave anyone along the way. That's another priority. And last but not least, I believe if we make the sector attractive for investors, we will also create opportunities, more opportunities for consumers, but we'll also create jobs. And so it will be good for the economy and for the people in general.
I understand that the challenges are multiple. Are you optimistic? Will we succeed in the energy transition?
Yes, I am optimistic, definitely so. And yet I believe it's important to start acting now, because in the coming 10 years, we need to act at unseen before industrial scale to deliver solutions we know today in order to reduce CO2 emissions with 55% by 2030. And secondly, in parallel, we need to invest in innovation and business development so that in the coming 10 years, we can develop these solutions we will need to reduce the next 50% we will need to reduce afterwards. So yes, I'm optimistic, and we need to start to act together at industrial scale now.
Grégoire Dallemagne and Philippe van Truijen, thank you very much, both of you, for your commitment in name of all FEBEG members and stakeholders.
Thank you, Björn. Thank you, Philippe.